begin tonight with a shocking video of two Sydney nurses bragging about killing Israeli patients and threatening to do it again.
Hello, I'm Linton Besser. Welcome to Media Watch. And first, to the moment that finally brought home the true scale of Australia's anti-Semitism crisis.
Eventually you're going to get killed and you're going to go to Jahannam, inshallah. You have no idea how many Israeli khara dog came to this hospital and I sent him to Jahannam.
Two nurses from Sydney's Bankstown Hospital, Ahmad Rashad Nadir and Sarah Abu Lebdeh, captured on video spewing hate and promising not to treat any Israeli who walks through the hospital doors.
Let's say an Israeli, God forbid.
I won't treat them. It's Palestine's country, not your country, you piece of shit.
So far, there's no evidence patients have been harmed, but the pair was swiftly suspended and police launched an investigation into the comments as outrage swept the country.
The comments are vile, the footage is sickening, and it is shameful.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be standing here with two staff of the New South Wales health system having said such horrendous things.
And made headlines around the world.
Australian hospital examines patient records after nurse claims to have killed Israelis.
Since Hamas's violent incursion into Israel in October 2023 and Israel's merciless crackdown in reply, anti-Semitic attacks have bloomed here in Australia. And it's in that fevered climate the media must take great care to report scrupulously on the troubles, of course, but not inflame them either. And on that score, some in the media have been found wanting.
Well now, I'll probably take a kicking for doing this.
That's former AFL personality Sam Newman on his podcast, which, to be honest, is a naked attempt to do little more than keep the 79-year-old's fading star from dying altogether. But in one recent episode, his thirst for attention went too far.
We speak to people of interest, and I don't think you could get any more interest than these two people sitting opposite me.
Interesting. Sam, the word you're looking for is foul, because his guests were two avowed neo-Nazis. Thomas Sewell, who led a white supremacist rally in Adelaide just 3 weeks ago, and Blair Cottrell, who took part in this fake beheading back in 2015 and used Sam Newman's 50-odd-minute podcast to ventilate a juvenile and obscene worldview.
There's a lot more going on with race than just the colour of skin. It's the way of thinking and behaving. It's the IQ.
I believe that Adolf Hitler was the greatest man of the 20th century.
Sam Newman's attempts at pushback were lacklustre and tokenistic.
So that's not necessarily hoping that we'll just have a white country. That's hoping that we'll send back people who are here illegally, no matter what skin colour.
At times, he was hopelessly out of his depth.
But what's wrong? What's wrong with Australia being white? What's wrong with that?
No, because it's you know exactly what the popular opinion of that is, because it's just racist.
We're not going to play the worst or even very much of the interview, because to do so would be to give these miserable people exactly what they want, which of course Sam Newman failed to grasp. His decision to interview the pair was roundly criticised, including at his old home ground of Geelong. But not by 2GB's Ben Fordham, who took the astounding decision to go on Sam's podcast and tell him he thought it was dinky die.
You were cross-examining them, hammering them at times, and essentially getting a message across. Sometimes the best conversations come about when ideas are tested in an environment like that.
Sewell and Cottrell and their meagre band of flunkies thrive on media exposure and work hard to slither their way into the spotlight and deliver their talking points. Like in 2016, when Cottrell identified as a racist, not yet a Nazi, on the ABC.
You're a prominent member of the new wave of Aussie patriots. Why do you think you've seen an increase in support?
And on Sky in 2018.
Are you a voice of the silent majority?
And 7 News that year. Each appearance is met with fierce condemnation, which in turn leads to yet more exposure. And with that comes the opportunity to raise money. Extremism researcher Kaz Ross told us donations to a recent Nazi fundraiser grew dramatically after the round of media attention.
The total amount is now over 35,000 Australian dollars, with funds pouring in from around the country and from sympathetic people overseas.
Yes, we know that this segment risks giving them oxygen too, but we decided it was vital that we show up what's really going on here. Because by appearing on mainstream outlets, these men are trying to launder their views into something palatable to the disenfranchised among us, which Thomas Sewell claims is working.
Now, all the people that are to the right of centre are defending us, even though we're open Nazis, and they're defending us saying, but they're not actually Nazis.
Predictably, they were thrilled with their Newman appearance and were rubbing their hands at the prospect of more news coverage ahead.
2025, we absolutely hit the ground running. Australia Day, Sam Newman, we're going to be in the public eye. The media can't help themselves.
Newman has since attacked Cottrell for ambushing his way onto the podcast, but he's unapologetic about issuing his invite to Sewell to begin with.
I do not regret inviting Sewell to chat. In my naivety, I did not foresee the interview being hijacked. His ulterior motive was to use me. That he did.
A useless admission from a useful idiot. This next example of the media just not getting it on anti-Semitism involves an undercover sting gone terribly wrong.
Look at you, it's shame. Look at your tails between your legs. You just tried divisive journalism.
That's senior Daily Telegraph reporter Danielle Gusmeroli. With her is a known pro-Israel advocate, and this is the aftermath of an ill-conceived and poorly executed tabloid stunt.
Daily Telegraph, shame on you.
It began minutes earlier when the man, captured here on CCTV, walked into a popular Egyptian eatery in Sydney. We've interviewed the woman who served him, who we're going to call Jane.
He came in wearing a white baseball cap with a blue Star of David on the front of the baseball cap.
Jane remembers the man in the cap ordering a takeaway iced tea, then walking to the back of the restaurant where he stood for a minute drinking it. He recorded what happened next.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Okay.
Everything's okay?
That's it. That's all that happened. And from what we've seen, the pair didn't exchange a single bad word inside the cafe. So why did things kick off? It started when Jane spotted the team from the Daily Telegraph.
The man in the black shirt with the black glasses had a huge camera with a very large telephoto lens on it. And that made me think, what's going on here? And then as I turned back, a woman, a short woman, stepped into the equation.
Jane went back inside, and that's when she was approached by Danielle Gusmeroli.
I asked her, yes, can I help you? She said to me, you seem very uncomfortable with the man in the white T-shirt. I said, who are you talking about? She said, the man in the white T-shirt that was just in your restaurant and he bought a drink. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, yes, you do. The man in the white T-shirt, you've been out glaring at him along the road.
We have confirmed Gusmeroli initially failed to identify herself as a reporter, which is Journalism 101.
It clicked what was going on. So I said to her, firstly, who are you and where are you from? And she said to me, I'm from the Daily Telegraph. And I told her, get out of the restaurant.
Video shot on the man's mobile phone shows the Telegraph's reporter in action, pursuing her story.
Why did you come out to look at him?
I stand out here all the time.
Eyeballing him.
I stand out here all the time. I'm looking at customers coming and going, madam. It's my job.
What on earth was the telly thinking? Well, we got a startling insight into that question on Friday when online publication Crikey reported an extraordinary leak from inside the newspaper, revealing its cockeyed sting was codenamed Undercover Jew. In the meantime, we've learned this episode was part of a Daily Telegraph doco, already half shot, involving the man and the telly team filming around Sydney. Jane was appalled by the newspaper's conduct.
I think it is a revolting example. It's just divisive. It's trying to get us to separate even more. I feel like it's trying to capture and prey on the sensationalism that's out there at the moment rather than trying to cool it down. It's being fanned.
It seems the restaurant in question was targeted because of this story, published more than a year ago in the Daily Mail.
Owner of popular Sydney restaurant Cairo Takeaway tells narcissistic Zionist pigs to stay away from his venue in abusive Instagram rant that has divided customers.
Cairo Takeaway's owner posted the rant at a person after they made a comment about street artist Scotty Marsh. Marsh recently painted a mural showing the Palestinian flag on a raised fist outside the eatery.
But the woman behind the counter was not the owner of the restaurant, and nor was she the author of the post. We asked the man about his role in the fiasco. His lawyer said he didn't provoke anyone, adding,
My client participated in a project with the Daily Telegraph to showcase the more subtle and covert forms of antisemitism experienced by Jews in their everyday lives. Social experiments like this have previously highlighted other forms of discrimination.
On Friday, the Daily Telegraph's editor, Ben English, released a statement saying,
The Telegraph never intended to provoke an incident at the Cairo Takeaway restaurant in Enmore.
But he conceded,
Our approach could have been better handled.
Understatement of the year. The Telegraph has not published a word about the incident, and perhaps for good reason, because its little covert operation did nothing to inform the public, and instead it stoked tensions on the streets of a city it claims to champion.
Daily Telegraph, shame on you. Shame on you.
It's difficult to find words to describe this appalling conduct by the Telegraph. The community, frankly, was already on a knife edge when the paper embarked on this vulgar bid to confect its own anti-Semitism exclusive. And the result? Instead of a page one scoop, Sydney's 145-year-old tabloid newspaper has inscribed into its own annals one of its most grubby episodes. And finally, to big news on 7.
Bunnings has been found to have breached privacy laws by using facial recognition technology, proving yet again that they really do have everything at Bunnings.
Huh? And was that Mark Humphreys, the comedian, behind the Channel 7 news desk? In case you missed it, for the past 7 months, Humphreys has been taking the piss out of the news while on the news, and the marriage has been awkward.
The remaining members of the Bali Nine have returned to Australia and will be reintegrated into society, or as it's called here at 7, being cast on Dancing with the Stars.
But the changes at 7 weren't limited to comedy skits from the news desk. No, because there were also forecasts of a different kind. Yes, horoscopes. All right, let's see. Gemini, your truth burns to be spoken. Cancer, slow down, keep checking those numbers. Oh, and Capricorn, be ready but discerning in your sexual adventures with Mars. The fortune-telling and the comedy was all part of 7 News boss Anthony de Segley's bold plan for the network when he took on the role in April last year, as he explained to Mumbrella.
I just always told myself if I got into a position of leading a newsroom, I would try things, because the worst thing in the world is not trying anything.
You can't knock that attitude. But what did the audiences think?
Absolute crap.
7 slammed after controversial comedy segment's Friday night debut.
Yikes. And as for the reading of stars on the news, 9 radio announcer Tom Elliott was not impressed.
Astrology in the news? Astrology is not science, it is not fact.
So it is with a heavy heart that I have to report tonight. 7 binned the stars at the end of last year. And 9 weeks ago, it quietly put Humphrey's segment out to pasture too.
It was hoped comedian Mark Humphries would attract a young audience, but in the end, no one saw the funny side.
With Desegli telling us,
we're in discussions with Mark Humphries about how to incorporate his enormous talent into other areas. Meanwhile, our very popular horoscope segment will continue on the morning show and online.
And he added,
7 News won't shy away from trying new things. Our team prides itself on always trying to innovate in the search for new audiences.
This might seem like all a bit of fun. It's not. 7 desperately needs its anchor programs like the nightly news to keep viewers glued to their sets. But free-to-air audiences have been thinning, contributing to the network's profit slump last week. And there was difficult news today for 7 that 9's Evening Bulletin has just crept ahead in the all-important ratings. It sure is tough right now in commercial TV. And as for Mark Humphries, we asked him for a response too. He told us,
thank you to the millions of people who viewed the segment online. Next time, please watch it on the television. Nevertheless, it is a thrill to be featured on Media Watch, the only segment even more smug than my own.
And that's all from us tonight. Be sure to check us out on iView as well as X, YouTube and Facebook. You can find full statements on our website and don't forget to send us your tips. See you next week.